Nice. Welcome, Shift Crew and Empath Nation, to the Obsidian Blade Medicine Hour. If you are catching this live or on the replay, I am so stoked you are here. It's Monday, and it feels like it. And we should talk about that. What we do here, we discuss all things Shift, New Earth, and reclaiming your power as a creator. And the first thing I want to talk about on this Monday is I really hope that you have a community or a group of friends or a friend that you can speak to about these things that you're feeling, the things that you're going through, and the transitions that we're going through as a collective species. I mean, yes, we have plenty of access to different, YouTube videos and things that we scroll by on Instagram. But I know for myself, there can be that challenge of actually finding your people and feeling like you get that physical connection that we need. And I hope that this show is that for you. If you don't have it in a physical form, at least you have me here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, live, or you can always send me a direct message on Facebook or Instagram or here. But I just really want to put that out there, that community is very essential right now, and to get that connection going with people who really get you, to be with people who understand the nuances of what's happening, and people who have that vocabulary, who speak this language of transformation and psychic surgery and cleansing the shadow and the language and the techniques of renewal. And it's really essential. It's really essential. So again, I am so happy that you're here spending time with me and that we get to hang out together. Hello, everyone on live. Martina, what's up? That we get to hang out together and we do this medicine work together. But again, I'm thinking I'm starting a Facebook group where I can lay out at least a place filled with questions or topics and themes. And we can also connect there on a Facebook group for you to share anything that you're going on or going through if we don't get to connect online. So really stoked about that. And again, super happy that you're here. Let me clean up the visuals as I get better and better at how to make that happen faster. One of the things that I also see on Instagram, it's kind of a theme. I know we talk a lot about empowerment, and I know everyone's at different stages of their awakening, of their cleansing, of their empowerment. But what I want to see in the spiritual community, the switch I want to see is moving away from being kind of wounded or permanently traumatized and getting into supporting and modeling and enforcing how badass we are. We've got to get away from the notion that we're super damaged and over to the fact that we're warriors. Hey, Gigi. That we're warriors. And I realize that it's important to do the sensitive work, but I just wonder, I'm kind of getting, I guess what I'm saying is I'm kind of getting tired of scrolling through all this kind of self-affirmation, and sometimes I need it, but where's the life? Where's the community? Where's the experience where we're not having to prop each other up, but we're actually all standing upright in our power and then using our power in this new way? And I think that's maybe where we're needing to get across the gap. There is the gap. I have a graphic about the gap, by the way. And I think why it's hard to get across the gap is because still a majority of the human beings, of course, are yet to wake up or just awakening. And so they're doing the heavy work. They're doing the trauma work, the shadow work. And so we're not there yet where we're being asked to live within our full power. But we've got to start switching over to what that looks like, living in our full power, and I'd like to see that switch where we're now strong. And I don't see a lot of that in the current media. So I know that can keep us kind of stuck. We just have to watch out for getting in a mindset where we're permanently healing or permanently broken. And what's it look like? What does it look like in your own life to be completely strong and fulfilled? And the one thing that I constantly, want to get across is when we talk about what does it mean or what does it look like to be fulfilled, is our version of fulfilled just modeling what came before us, which in a lot of ways is the core needs of your human experience, which is health, wealth, love, and happiness, right? Those 4 things need to get handled, but we have old models of what it looks like to be fulfilled or successful in those categories. Again, health, wealth, love, and happiness. And I want everyone to be wealthy, but does being wealthy in this new earth look like being wealthy on the old earth? Does being in love on the new earth look like being in love and in relationship on the old earth? And those are the things we have to examine. What does it really mean to be wealthy? When at the end of the day, money is actually just a printed object, right? Wealthy, the new definition has always been, well, a lot of people figured this out like many, many years ago, but what's the true definition of wealth? It's really the depth of the connections that you have. And so I see a lot of stuff where I want everyone to be wealthy. And I know a lot of people are selling courses online, how to, live your 6-figure dream income being exactly who you are. And at the same time, living a 6-figure dream income being who you are can also look like all the self-centered, isolated, self-serving people who have come before us. So, it's a very interesting spot we've got ourselves in. And it's, again, this gap period where we're coming online, we're getting empowered, but we don't want to take our power just to mimic the society that we grew up in and that we had to reclaim our power from. And that's a very fine nuance that we have to be very aware of. So before we get into more topics that I've got lined up for today, I just want to say, glad you're here again. I am super stoked always that you show up, crew, and that we get to be here together. And, as you know, this is also a podcast. I have original material that I put on the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes. That's where it's available. Also, the audio from these live sessions are edited and put on there weekly, if I get around to it. There is so much to do in this transition time. But either way, what this mostly is here, this Obsidian Blade Live, is a chance for us to have community in the real time. And I am glad to do that for you. And if you're new to this channel, here's what we do as empaths, healers, creators, blossoming into our full abilities. We navigate the exit of the crumbling matrix slave system, aka the land of the dead, through the exploration and cleansing of your shadow side so that you come back to life and become the shift to live in your full power on New Earth in the light of the 6 Suns star system. I got the maps. We are the crew. Let's do this. So today, let's be mindful. There's these eclipse comes, astrologers are talking about we're coming into eclipse season. I would suggest that you find out more about that. I am not an astrologer, but it's important that we live our lives observing and being in rhythm with life itself. And life happens to be the orbit of the earth and the orbit of the sun and our procession through the star system. And being in rhythm with that is important. And I know these eclipses have certain themes and signatures, and really, I think really all of the theme of what I talk about and what these eclipses are talking about is, and especially with the Mars retrograde, which I covered last week, is that we're going within to do the reorganizing of who we are on the inside so that the outside follows suit. And so, the questions I have for you is, what's in the way of you reclaiming or claiming your own sovereignty? You are love from the universe. You are magical in nature. What's in the way of you reclaiming your power? What needs to be deconstructed with a warrior attitude within you, as well as what needs to be deconstructed in you with just a soft, compassionate, caring presence within you, so that both the warrior and the lover inside of you can arrive at peace. And then peace will be reflected to you on the outside. Establishing peace without having to go to war with anybody else or any external idea or institution or mental belief outside of you. And that is the core. That's the core. Here in my notes, what I wrote this morning, there's a real essential thing here. We keep trying to tackle the problems outside of us rather than the people who create them. This is like massive. If nobody was tripping, if nobody was freaking out, if nobody was trying to manipulate another human being for power, none of the bad shit that we see on the outside of us would be happening, right? Bad stuff doesn't exist in humanity unless humanity decides to create it and then live it. There is nothing outside of us except that which we choose to think about, attract, focus upon, and participate in. There is no evil outside of us. There is no violence except for the people who are perpetuating it. But if no one thought about something and then did it, it wouldn't exist. And that is the fundamental aha we have to have as the creators here. If anything, New Earth could be a clean slate where for a moment in time, we just didn't create anything at all until we got a handle on the power of the effect that we have individually and collectively. Again, we keep trying to tackle the problems outside of us rather than the people who create them. Because those people have a mindset, and their mindset makes things happen. And then they enroll others to make that thing happen as well. Just think about people in power right now. What if there is nothing wrong with the earth? What if there's nothing wrong with us? That every problem outside of us, whether we created it or someone else created it or a group of people created it, it's really at the end of the day about an agreement to a particular way of thinking, an agreement to a mindset, and then the belief of the idea, and then the actions that follow the belief. If we want to clean up the earth, it really means not participating in anything that's been created so far. And, I was saying, I mentioned actually on Instagram, I was going to talk about mirror neurons. This is a really interesting thing. So in us, why we have this thing called empathy within the gray matter of our minds as stimulated by the eyes and the senses in our physical body, we have a thing called mirror neurons. So we can look to another human being or a particular situation and have empathy for it, because what we do with our mirror neurons is we begin to mimic the situation outside of us or mimic the person outside of us to then resemble the experience that they are going through, but within inside of us. And that's a healthy thing to create connection. Our mirror neurons help us have empathy and create bonds with our family and our tribe and the movements that matter. But you can see how our fundamental nature of empathy has been hijacked by an agenda for power to keep you in the lower realms of survival, fight or flight within your body. And if you're in permanent fight or flight, and again, like I said earlier, if you don't have this handled in your life, which is health, wealth, love, and happiness, if you don't have those things handled or you're under threat, then there's no way you can ascend to have peace and liberation, because you're under a threat. You go back into survival mode. And we want to switch from being in a survival planet to a creator planet. And so to get over to creator planet or new earth, we have to stop being survivors and we have to start being thrivers in what is healthy and what keeps us aligned with life. And when I talk about the hijack of our mirror neurons, we can get into conspiracy, or we can just get into the understanding that the Piscean age was about externalized power, and that the people in power keep you hooked like a drug addict to a threat. And you can see that the fundamental, how would you say, not so much like theology, but philosophy of these externalized power paradigms is that we're the good people and that there's bad people, and that we have to keep the bad people away, because if we let the bad people in, we will be destroyed. And so there's an us versus them type of thing on a planet where there's really only one people. Now, one people with infinite ideas, one people with infinite diversity, but at the end of the day, one people, one planet, one solar system, one galaxy, one universe. Can you see how we're not allowed to have space travel yet? Can you see why our galactic brothers and sisters are like, no, we're not handing you the hyperdrive technology yet, because if you can't get it together on your one planet, there's no way you're about to infect the body of the universe by getting in hyperdrive ships or space-time fold mechanisms and pop up other places and as basically diseased, people who are out of attunement with life. And so that's the work that we do here. We together, here in this medicine hour, here on the podcast, here in workshops, and anything that I can give to you, we do the work of cleaning ourselves up so that we're not participating or helping co-create trauma. And because trauma is not allowed. If we're going to become equals, the equals that we are in the universe with our galactic counterparts, one of those first steps to becoming equal is to no longer infect your own planet with chaos and get everyone back to life, get everyone lifted out of the illusion of the fake matrix, the old paradigms of top-down power structures, and get us back into alignment with life. And so again, our mirror neurons give us empathy, but if we're opening ourselves up to witnessing the machinations of a power structure, our mirror neurons will also be engaged naturally. It's kind of hard. You have to have a filter with your mirror neurons. You have to decide. You have to decide when you're going to use your empathy. Otherwise, your empathy will overtake you and you will be crippled by your own empathy. And that's an important thing to really feel. Kind of pun intended there, but feel out, really feel within you. Empathy is one of your greatest gifts. You, as an empath, as an intuitive, as a healer, as someone who is sensitive to their own self and the suffering of others. But watch out when your empathy becomes hijacked. And that's a tool that you need to develop, and we can develop that together. Just let me know in the comments or questions below if that's something you want to work on, is the strengthening of when you decide to use your empathy and how to turn it on and turn it off so that you're not overtaken, What else have I got in the notes here? So yeah, we keep trying to tackle the problems outside of us rather than the people who create them. Because at the end of the day, there are no problems except the ones we create. And I'd like us to become a species that's no longer living in survival or living in problems, but living in, a post-solution. Like, no more solutions. It's funny. I look at all my books and I'm just like, you know what? Like, okay, we need books. We need the YouTubes. We need the retreats. We need the workshops. But there's going to be a point where we don't need any of that anymore because we're actually the thing that we have become, which is very empowered. So that is my end goal, my hope for all of us here. And it's fine. What we're doing here is a collective healing of the DNA, both in ourselves and in the world. And again, not only can your mirror neurons be hijacked, but also your DNA. Did you know this? Your DNA itself can be rewritten by the people you allow yourself to hang around. It's called epigenetics. And so if you want to change your life and change your world and maintain that new higher altitude, please do an inventory of the people you're hanging out with, because those people have an impact on your DNA. And your DNA can actually be written epigenetically by the people you hang out with. So, may I have a good impact on your DNA while we hang out. So again, yes, we have trauma that we're getting through. We have shadow work that we're working with and cleansing out, where we have let go of our responsibilities and reclaiming those responsibility. And we've been broken. We've been broken as a people. We've been broken as a species. But fundamentally, what the wake up is that we no longer have to participate in being broken. And the funny thing is, and I talk about it a lot, and it's like you're never not in power. In order for you to be broken, you have to take your power to participate in being broken. And the awakening is canceling all your subscriptions to taking your power to believing you're broken. And through that process of understanding how you've taken your power to believe you're broken, you go, oh, this shit is optional. I can take my power, clean up what I was participating in, and go, oh, now that I have power, I can choose different. And the future really is having more options, having more choice, having more entertainment of possibility. And possibility that lives beyond the current structures of our social paradigms that we all participate in now. Because our social paradigms are also holding us back. It's something that also needs cleaning up. Because again, I want you to be healthy, wealthy, loved and rich beyond, your wildest dreams. But I hope we do that in a way that's not just repeating the past paradigms, where the past paradigms have been very, individual, me oriented, and the new paradigm is we oriented. How can we take that wealth and supply it and inspire others that there's an infinite wealth available to all? And I know some people would say, okay, there are some people in our world right now, in certain societies or certain parts of society, that have no idea about this. And I'm not talking about, let's just hope that and do our work that hopefully we can reach people who are so severely damaged, and sometimes by design, economically isolated. They're poor, or they're suffering in a socially engineered situation. Hopefully we can reach people to say, okay, let's begin the healing so that you can remember choice, the possibility of choice, and to have a lot of sensitivity around the fact that some people right now don't even know that they have choice. And we have to be very mindful, because I see this in the kind of uber liberal thinking. We don't want to keep people in a broken state. Yes, we want to have sensitivity to people who are struggling, and we have care for that, but we can't keep people in a permanent struggling situation. We have to rise our fellow human beings up. And so we have compassion and understanding of how people got to the place that they were, but we cannot keep them there. We cannot keep them in a victim mentality. And I feel like I see in certain uber liberal circles, there can be this idea of that we've got to constantly be oversensitive to people struggling, when I want people to stop struggling. We've got to live in the post-struggle, post-trauma world. And that's something to chew on. And again, if we want to see the change, we got to be the change first. What else do I have in my notes here that I want to go over? And, just the fundamentals going back to meditation. And I really hope you have a meditation practice going on, that your mind affects your body, and that your body then holds what your mind has been thinking. And it's so simple to observe this, to confirm that that's really true, right? Sit in front of a mirror and forget the mirror is in front of you, but, start thinking about something intense or hard. What happens to your body? You begin to furrow your eyebrows, right? You start to concentrate face, right? Because you're thinking really hard. Or what happens when you start thinking about something nice? You start to smile, and it happens naturally, right? The body responds to your thinking. Now, there are certain ways where you can actually have your body affect your thinking. So there are studies that show if you smile, you actually encourage positive thinking. Or say, if you're in a funk or you feel stressed and you start doing Tai Chi, right? You start creating the atmosphere for the mind to then relax, and then the body relaxes after that. But a lot of our experience is mind and then body. And then, of course, in the meditation, we have to be observant of how your body is, responding to the thought. So when we're talking about clearing out and cleansing work, right? We clear the body of all previous processing. This is really important in our shamanic meditation, that we have thought and thought and thought and thought so much that it becomes subconscious. Where does subconscious live? It lives in the tissues of your body. Your body has become energized by your previous thinking and now is hooked to you maintaining that particular way of thinking through the chemistry of your body. So we've got to cleanse the body of all our previous processing so that we can give ourselves a chance to then hold the vibration of this new earth. So you can see the work that's set out for us. So anyway, I just want to give you lots of love. I know it's an interesting feeling. I was just noticing, Martina, you said about the partial solar eclipse. It's happening on this Thursday, right? And which is also coinciding with the new moon. And just want to switch this off. Just lots of compassion, lots of care. I know some days are harder than others. I've been feeling it, going through it, going like, what am I doing? Why am I here? Is this even working? Is this thing on? And that's why I want to reach out and say, how I began the talk, may we all find community, and may I be community for you if it's hard to find in your neighborhood or your city or town. And that, again, that's why I love this live. That's why I love doing this YouTube live with you all, because I feel like Instagram is cool, but the just constant flipping through it's not depth. And I want depth with you. I want to have a deep conversation with you. I want to have a deep relationship with you. And so I'm here for the depth. And that's why I do this live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. PST. I think I'll start that Facebook group. Oh, thank you, Martina. Super appreciate it. I'm very stoked that you and everyone here on the live is always here or on the replay. Please, if you like what I talked about in this video, give this video a thumbs up. That helps this video. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so that we can, again, have depth. And if this video or talk has brought you value and you love what's going on here, please share it with a friend. Please let other people know that this conversation is happening all the time, and that we can not only talk about what's happening, doing the pulse, catching the pulse of the energy as it's happening, as we're doing the transition, as humanity is waking up. We're talking about the energy and doing energy reports, but we also can get into the techniques and do get into the techniques of how to, again, clean up your act, clean up your body, clean up your mind, and to have that ultimate realization of liberation that's happening right now. There are no problems in the world. There are no problems in the world. There are just people who participate in the creation of problems. Got it? That's a very fundamental thing that I love touching upon in this session. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you for that. Again, there are no problems on the planet. And this is where we claim our responsibility. We claim our responsibility in the fact that there are no problems except for the ones we create and the ones we participate in. And watch out for how your mirror neurons, your gift of empathy, is being hijacked by those who wish to continue to manipulate the survival aspects of your psyche so that you won't reach the higher aspects of, some people call it Maslow's pyramid, the higher aspects of your psyche or your psychology. If you're in a constant state of panic or are worried about things that other people are doing, then you won't reach higher states. And so you got to unplug from the matrix. You've got to unhijack yourself. You've been hijacked through your care and your love. And we've got to unhijack ourselves. And again, be like, I love how I wrote it over here. We keep trying to tackle the problems outside of us rather than the people who create them, the mindsets and the beliefs and the creativity that creates problems. When, if we really examine it, there is nothing wrong with the earth. There's nothing wrong with us. There are no problems. There are no problems except for the ones we continue to participate in. Wow. Who's going to take responsibility for that? So, the overall theme is, hey, if we want to travel the galaxy, they're not letting us in until we clean up our act. So may we discover where we clean up our own act, and may that create the ripple, the collective consciousness ripple, to clean up the world. And then when we're healthy, then we can traverse the galactic body as a healthy organism that's not only living in the truth of life and the rhythms of life, but it's contributing to the nurturance of that life wherever we go in existence. Love you so much. Please share this video with a friend. I'll see you on Wednesday. I'll start that Facebook group on the Obsidian Blade page on Facebook. I'll lay out a few topics and questions if you want to join there. And again, that's a place where we can go back and forth about topics that I can cover in the live. And hey, this is your show just as much as it is mine, and I am so grateful you're here. I'll see you again soon, and love you so much. Have a wonderful day.